Hey guys, it's Emma here, and I have my recent reads favourite read for February. So, as always, I've got my Goodread app here, so let's just get into it. So, the first book I read was from, it was an Abominable Book Club box. I can't remember which month, but it was a recent one. And it was The Children God Forgot. Then I read one of my partner's manga that he was getting rid of, and it was the Ruby, which is based on, I think, an anime show, and it was the anthology volume 1 Red Like Roses. Then I read one of my comics that I got for Christmas, I think it was Christmas, which is Batman 3 Jokers, and that's a small hardcover. And then I read another book from my Abominable Book Club box. I think that was maybe January's book, Nothing But Blackened Teeth. And then on to my Kindle Unlimited books. As every month I read 2 or 3 to make sure I get the most out of my subscription, because I pay for this. So I read The Dracula Secrets, Jack the Ripper, and The Darkest Sources of Bram Stoker, which for some reason I thought was like an anthology. I don't know, I added it months and months ago, maybe I don't know, God knows when I added it, but I don't know, for whatever reason I thought it was short stories, but it's not. It's basically an essay, non-fiction essay, basically about if Jack the Ripper and Dracula are kind of the same person, or if Bram Stoker based Dracula on Jack the Ripper. I know I don't talk about books I didn't like, but just a word of warning, if you are interested in reading that one, it barely talks about that, which is really annoying. There's just a whole big book, It took me ages to finish it, and it barely talks about that until very end. So yeah, just FYI. Then I read another one of my partner's comics, which is called Miles to Go. And then one of my box of stories, I think this must have been the sci-fi fantasy box, was Paris Adrift. Then another couple of books on my Kindle Unlimited subscription. So I started a 5-book series. It's like a vampire dystopian series, and it's called Blue Skin. So the first book is called just Blue Skin, and the second book is also coming up as Blue Skin, but it's book 2. So I read both of them. And then I read a massive omnibus that my partner has, comic, and that's American Vampire, Omnibus Volume 1, so it's absolutely massive. And then I read a book that my mum had lent me, which is Hannibal Rising, so that's me read all of the Hannibal Lecter books now. And then a comic that I had bought, which I'm assuming I just bought recently, so it must have been in my January haul video, The Beauty Volume 6, and that rounds out the story of the Beauty comic book series, finally, because they haven't done one in years, so this was the last one. And then the next thing was one of my partner's comics again, and it's The Devil's Red Bride, the complete series. It was just one book for that one. And then another comic from my partner, Shuri Wakanda Forever. And then a 3-volume series of comics that I had bought him for his birthday and Christmas, which was Ronin Island. So I read Volume 1, Volume 2, and Volume 3. And then the last couple of things I read in February were a couple of other big hardback comic books of my partner's, and that was Chew the Omnivore Edition Volume 1 and Chew the Omnivore Edition Volume 2. So that is everything I read in February. As always, I read a fair bit, so it's hard to choose, but I think basically there were books I read at the start of the month that I was I think one of these is definitely going to be it, unless I read something else. And the whole month, I don't think I read anything as good as the couple of things I read. So I was struggling to try and decide which one I wanted to kind of promote as my favourite one. And I think the second place, basically, this is almost the first one, honourable mention or whatever, to The Children That God Forgot by Graham Masterton. You'll know that I picked one of his other books for my favourite book of the month. I think it was last summer, which was The House of a Thousand Whispers, I think it's called, or 100 Whispers. because I just freaking loved that book. It was so good. So when I got another Graham Masterton book from Abominable Book Club, I was really excited to read it, and it did not disappoint. It's amazing. So I would also recommend this one, but just the reason that it's not my favourite, and again, it was really creepy, it was scary, it's everything I'd want in a horror book. It was great. But the only reason that it's not getting the top spot is just going with my experience that I had with the book. This is not necessarily an experience you would have with the book, but just my own experience, my personal experience, why I'm not choosing it as number one. And basically that is because I read a lot at work, like on my breaks, obviously not just at work. So on my lunch I will read, and on my tea break I will read. So yeah, there's a lot of scenes in this book down in sewers. So that doesn't bother me, like I'm not squeamish like that. If I'm just reading it, that's fine. But when I'm trying to eat my lunch and I'm reading about fatbergs that are basically giant things that block the sewer made up of tampons and like wet wipes and all this other kind of stuff you would expect to find in a sewer, and they're trying to clear it, and like there's so many scenes that take place in the sewer. And again, that wouldn't normally bother me. It's just, I'm just reading it, but when I'm trying to eat at the same time, I was like eating my sandwich and I was like, oh, can we hurry up and finish this section and just get back out of the sewer to another bit? So yeah, it's such a good book. It's so creepy, it's so scary, it's great, read it. But that is why it's not my complete favourite. Just because of that. Otherwise, it's an amazing book. It's creepy, it's scary, it's, yeah, as I say, everything I'd want in a book. But my number one, because of that sewer fact, my number one book is going to be The Three Jokers by Jeff Johns, Jason Fabok, and Brad Anderson. Now, I mean, even the front is just gorgeous. But yeah, this is basically, it's a newish book, I think, and it's basically stories of three jokers, shock, but it's not like an anthology thing. It's not separate stories. There are three jokers. There are three people claiming to be the Joker working together, and you know, Batman and his team are trying to stop them. So one of the reasons I picked this as my favourite is, one, I loved the story. I just thought it was written really well. I don't normally pick comics to be my favourite. I don't know if I've picked any comics to be my favourite, actually. I can't remember. But yeah, it was just written really well. And another thing I loved in it was the artwork. So I'm trying to find a page that I can show you like amazing artwork. But yeah, it's just gorgeous. So Batwoman is in this comic, and all of her panels, she just looks amazing. I love them. I'm not like a massive Batwoman fan or anything, like one way or another. I'm not that bothered. I can take her or leave her. But like the that's a big spoiler, so I'm not gonna show you that page. The the kind of like the panels with her in, they're just drawn so gorgeously, that like there she is again. I just love the artwork in this. It's absolutely gorgeous. And I think, again, the reason I'm picking this as my number one is specifically to me, again, in my experience, is that I don't read a lot of Batman comics. I don't read a lot of main, like, Marvel or DC superhero comics. I basically don't read any of them. So I'm not, you know, I don't know all the ins and outs of the Batman universe. I know a bit, I know a fair bit from, like, my partner, because obviously he reads them, and you know, like movies and stuff that I don't think are that great, but never mind. But somehow all of the things that I know about the Batman universe are in this book. There is nothing that I don't know. So there's like characters in it that I know of, that I know their stories. The three different Jokers in this, I know the stories of those Jokers. I know the characters, I know the kind of like the plots of those storylines from the Batman comics, so for whatever reason, like the stars aligned, and I know exactly what I need to know, and no more, to read this comic. So I freaking loved it. What I'll do is I will read I don't normally do this, but I'll read the blurb for you just in case I say something else that ends up being a spoiler. I'll just mention what's written on here. So it says, who are the three Jokers? Batman doesn't understand how or why, but the fact is certain. The man he has spent a lifetime chasing isn't one man at all. There are three Jokers. Now that he knows the unbelievable truth, Bruce needs real answers. Joined by Barbara Gordon and Jason Todd, two former victims of the Joker's brutality, the Dark Knight is finally on a path to defeat the madman once and for all, every last one of him. So this is actually, as you can see, it's quite thin. So it's actually just 3 issues, so 1 issue for each Joker, basically. But yeah, so it's as it mentions on the back, it's Barbara Gordon as Batwoman and Jason Todd, who is also one of the Joker victims. So basically, these 3 Jokers are the Jokers from those stories, and it's just, yeah, it's amazing. So there's like the Killing Joke for Barbara, and again, I read that book and I didn't love it. But yeah, I love the Joker. I don't always love books and stuff. My favourite Joker is actually probably from the Arkham games. But that's just, I don't know, that's just me. He's probably my favourite Joker out of like comic book, movie, this, that, and the next thing. The Arkham trilogy Joker is my favourite out of those games. I think it's Rocksteady. But yeah, I am recommending this book because it is freaking amazing, and I love it. And as I say, even if you're not a Batman fan like me and don't know like all the lore and all that kind of stuff, like I know exactly what I need to know going into this. Your mileage may vary, but yeah, I love this book, so I'm gonna shout from the rooftops that I love this book so much. I think it's the first comic I've ever given like a full 5 stars to as well, but I'm not 100% sure. So yes, finally, I'll stop rambling now. This is my favourite read for February. It's the one I'm recommending to people. As I say, if you don't read comics and you read books, I would recommend the Children God Forgot by Graham Masterton, because that was also amazing, but this just pitched it to the top. So that is it for this one, guys, though. Leave any comments down below, share with your friends, give it a thumbs up, and I will catch you next time, guys. Bye!